That is all about therapeutics and management. So a little bit about clinical, a little bit about investigations, and then quite a lot about the drugs, the side effects, the dosages, why you should use it, why you shouldn't use it. So very much a practical text where you put it in your pocket and use it in our patients. That was really more or less on acute clinical medicine, that one there. And in fact, we're going to have another iteration of that with cases, and that's going to come out next year. And then these are various things that you can use for assessment. The 1,000 question and answers, which I said Mike did many of. Past findings, again, some of our senior registrars, all our consultants did that. Basically tells you what you wear when you go for an interview, how to pass it. And then there's MCQs and more MCQs. And then there's a whole range of pediatrics, general practice, surgery, obs and gynae, psychiatry, which I think are up there, so you can have a look at them. Again, all handbooks, so really recognize. And so there's a whole library. They may think that Mike and I are rolling with money. The answer is we're not. It takes a lot to produce textbooks. So Elsevier, I think, do very well out of this. Also, we are very democratic. We give our authors exactly what they write, so that the royalties are distributed across. And also, we try and support water aid, which we think is so important, really, in terms of global health. That's the one which really people in the West, it's a competitor to the Oxford textbook handbook. Did anybody use that? Yeah, we call it the cheese and onion book, okay? Because it's green and yellow, and the crisp with the cheese and onion are green and yellow. So I can suggest that you now get rid of the cheese and onion. And I don't know what this is going to be called, a nice sweet, I don't know. And really what this person says is that he prefers it over the Oxford textbook of medicine, not the handbook, because Mike and I are not very keen on just lists. We want to know why you've got that list in there. And that's why it's slightly lengthier in this discussion of what you do. But nevertheless, you put it in your pocket and use it as you go. And I really recommend that to certainly the final year medical students, the foundation or your house officers, and also for consultants when I do check it out. And just to show you that again, we try to make it fairly easy to read. As you can see, it's been broken up with colours and tables. It's got ECGs and a table full of dosages. It's got emergencies. There's a whole chapter on emergencies. For example, hyponatremia or cardiac arrest, the normal ones. And then algorithms, which I think Michael discussed, but algorithms are really quite difficult to write for those who wants to write a textbook. We were in Jakarta yesterday, and apparently you get points for being a professor, is that right? And so one of the ways, so quite a lot of them wanted to write textbooks, and we were trying to dissuade them because we now know how difficult it is. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to Mike to talk about the rest of it.
Right, well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. The one thing is very impressive here is the traffic compared with Jakarta. We spent most of our day sort of just going about 2 inches, so it's all a little tricky over a very short visit. I just want to correct one or two things. Certainly one thing that Parveen said, as you know, she was talking without any notes, pretty sort of casual, and the first thing is this is the 8th edition, as you can see. She showed you all of the other editions, and some of you, the astute ones amongst you, might have noticed that the first 2 editions were just had sort of scratchy sort of marks on the front of the book. And one day, Parby said, "How are the sales of the book going?" And someone said, "Well, they're doing very well, they're selling this." But, and Parby said, "But how many are they really selling?" And it was still 20, 30, 40,000 or whatever it was. And Parby said, "But we want to sell many more than that." And I've got a big suggestion to make, and that is that I want my picture on the front of all of the textbooks in clinical medicine. So as you can see, we've kept this up since. This is a true life picture of Parby, as I saw there, and she is now on the front of all of our books, and I think will remain there forever and a day. The second point I might just make is, why am I here? Why didn't Parby do the whole of it? Well, she does allow me occasionally to say a few words, but this is really not my main reason for being here. My main reason for being here is actually to carry the book for Parby. So you can't hear, right? Come on. I was trying to look at the screen at the same time. The book, as you know, is very heavy, and so I'm here, as I say, to carry the book. And I only have one instruction: is carry the book for me and always walk behind. And I made a slip up a few months ago towards the end of last year, and so the next sort of Kumar&Clarke tour, I was banned. I wasn't even allowed to come and carry the book, so I slipped in front of her. She really can't have that, but her name is first in the... I would just also mention the question of the names here and how they came first and second, and those men at the back there would, I'm sure, like to know that it was just the gentlemanly consideration of the senior author, namely me, that ladies should always be first, even though they may not deserve it. So I've been asked just to talk about what's in the books and why they're here, and how does it help the medical student to understand medicine. And so I'm showing you a simple case. We're going to do one this morning because of time, and then show you what appears in the book to enable you to understand all about the case. So this is a very true story, which I'll mention at the end of it. It's a 40-year-old doctor, in fact a friend of ours, who attended a dinner, a very distinguished dinner in the apothecaries in London, and 10 days later he became jaundiced. A number of other diners, in fact, also developed jaundice, and when he was examined, he was jaundiced, and he had no other physical signs. You can see the investigations. The bilirubin was raised, which is not surprising. You see the enzymes are up, the aspartate-transferase. We always use that term these days rather than the SGOT and the SGPT. You see the alanine transferase was raised, and the alkaline phosphatase just up a little bit, not very much. But what you do notice there is that he has the antibody to the hepatitis A virus, and it's an IgM antibody, so it means it's an acute episode, and the diagnosis is hepatitis A. And the people who put on the dinner were all very embarrassed about this, and eventually they managed to trace the source of the hepatitis A, and this was put down to the raspberries that had been provided after dinner. Now, I don't know whether any of you have been fruit picking at any time. I haven't, but Parby has done everything and told me that this is what happens in the fields, is that you pick as much fruit as you can, and then you take it to the people who are running it, and they weigh it, and then they pay you per amount of raspberries, or the weight of the raspberries. Now, obviously, the higher the weight, the more you get paid. So how do you increase the weight of the raspberries when you're at the end of the field, and the people who do the money are up here. You could obviously add some stones, but that would make it all a little bit obvious. And apparently pickers do have other means, which I'm not going to discuss with you, but work it out for yourselves on how they increase the weight of the raspberries. And that is how it happened that one of the pickers had an episode of hepatitis A, carrying the virus, and therefore transferred the virus to the raspberries. This, incidentally, is an absolutely true story. This not being made up. So, how does this sort of help you when you're using the textbook, and how much do you need to know really to be able to understand what's going on in the jaundice patient? And I have put down here that perhaps you don't need very much. I mean, after all, if you've got a patient who's jaundiced, you know he's eaten raspberries and he's got a HIV, IgM positive, that's all pretty easy. But in fact, to understand the condition, you really need to know perhaps a little bit about the anatomy, the formation of bilirubin, a bit about the liver biochemistry and the function of the liver. And just to illustrate these points on the next couple of slides, first of all, that's the anatomy of the liver, as shown in about 3 pictures of the anatomy in clinical medicine. But this is one which is particularly relevant these days because these are all the lobules of the liver which can all now be resected individually, or you can obviously do a complete transplantation of the liver. But knowing this sort of anatomy is much more relevant than some of the anatomy that appears in textbooks that we won't mention. The other point to be made is that we used to, and when I was a boy, have dissecting rooms with bodies, and where you spend years looking at all of the details of the anatomy of the human body. They disappeared, and now we have pretty well most of the anatomy taught by people who understand imaging. In other words, mainly CT, but of course ultrasound and MRI, etc., with a little bit of actual dissection sort of thrown in for good luck. So this is here a CT of the abdomen. It's again taken from the book. You see the liver and the spleen and the pancreas, which are the 3 sort of things you really need to know about for discussing a patient with jaundice. And then these are some other CT pictures which are part of this figure. So that's how we teach anatomy in clinical medicine. And then this is how we teach about the physiology and show you about the formation of bilirubin. Here's the red cell at the top. This is the heme molecule here, and that is broken down into bilirubin here, which is taken up, attached to albumin first of all, taken up by the liver, and then excreted if it's water soluble into the bile duct, and then comes out into the stools. That's why you have dark stools. If, however, there's a block in the canaliculi, then no bilirubin comes out. You have pale stools, and as long as it's been conjugated, it's water soluble. It's therefore is produced in the kidney and produces dark urine. So dark urine, pale stools are the way that you say that there's a cholestensis, which is a much better term than what the surgeons like to use, which is obstruction. So this is the liver biochemistry to show you the alanine transferase. As I say, we use that rather than the SGPT. That's specific to the liver. The AST is much more widespread. It's in muscle, kidney, brain. So if you have a myocardial infarction, you get a rise in the aspartic transferase. And the alkaline phosphatase is secreted by the canalicular membrane in the liver, but it's also produced in bone, placenta, and intestine. It's not uncommon to be referred a young sort of 16, 17 or 18-year-old saying this person has a raised alkaline phosphatase. Can you tell us why? And of course, it's just the fact that this is bone alkaline phosphatase and nothing to do with the liver. So that was really, this is really to illustrate how we approach the problem of a patient with jaundice, and we can do this with many other scenarios, but this is just this one. So you've jaundice, you've got raised bilirubin, and this all explains why you go yellow, and I've already told you about the dark urine and the pale stools. Serum transferases are raised, and as I said, in this particular patient, he had a positive IgM response to hepatitis A virus. And I hope by now, even those of you who are having a little sleep and everything, will have worked out how you increase the weight of raspberries, because you never know, if you don't do well in medicine, you might need to go fruit picking again, and you need to know these particular things. So the conclusion of this is to say that what we like to do with the book is to produce an understanding of the disease. So it's not just dots which tell you how to do this or that. You understand the disease, and then this must be provided in the clinical context. Okay, Elsevier suggested that we should talk about what were the challenges in producing this book, and I was asked to do this talk. I think partly decided she couldn't be bothered or something, so my name was put forward to do this talk some time ago, and I had a similar title, What Were the Challenges to Write from the Book? And my next slide was a picture of Parveen, and suggesting that she was actually the biggest challenge that I ever faced. And I gave this talk yesterday and was about to show the picture, and I noticed that she's rather devious, but she'd taken out the picture of herself. So you have to sort of imagine what she looked like, and that indeed was the biggest challenge that I faced. And to give you some idea of the thought process, if we look at the next slide, she said, well, if we really get down to it, we can finish it in 12 months. So a book of this sort of size, I'm sorry, 2 months, I meant to say. It was in fact in June. She said, let's finish it by the end of August. In fact, the publishers said it would take us 3 years. We said in the end, when sense prevailed, it takes a bit of time to get these thoughts into Parveen's head, not being sensible. We said 2 years, and in fact it became 2.5 years. The other thing that she wanted it for was that one needed to be pocket size. Fortunately, doctors in England now are not allowed to wear white coats for health and safety reasons, so the pocket went out of the window. And then she said, well, can it be for the size of the basket that you have on bicycles? And I said, well, since most of our medical students drive cars, they're all very affluent, they don't have baskets, they have back seats, and so we can, have the book as big as we like. That's what happened, and that's why, as I said, I'm here, because it is a very heavy book. One of the things that, as again Parveen mentioned earlier, is that people say, why write a book? Is it worth it? Well, we do think it's worth it. So I'll mention a bit later, because we wouldn't be here, and we would meet such nice people as we did earlier. And I was pleased, as Parveen was, to see that all the professors are female. I did make a sort of slight little joke that they may have made a mistake, but I did hastily say that that's a mistake. But not having a few men around does sort of, I think, take the edge away from things. So what about the book? Well, it's very, very hard work, and if you're going to do it well, and we read every word, we change every word many times. And at some point when we're doing this, one or other of us, and I won't mention which, you can work that out, says, oh, it will do. And that's the point that you said, fine, let's start again, because if it will do is not acceptable. Let's start again and do it once more. These are a few points about the book which people come up and sort of make comments about.